Hello everybody and welcome to the second part of C tutorial, and today we're going to be looking at variables. Now imagine you have some sort of data that you're trying to store. Like for example, you're making a game and you're trying to store the health points of your character. For that you're going to need variables. Now variables are containers for storing data values, like numbers or characters. And to store a variable, you're first going to need to specify the data type that you're trying to store, like you're trying to store integers, decimal numbers, or single characters, and so on. Now let's begin with integers. For example, let's just create an integer. To declare an integer, you just type int, and then you type the name of the integer, like for example, we'll call it number, and you type a semicolon at the end. Now here we have declared our first variable. Now, our number currently isn't holding any value, so to assign a value, we need to type an equal sign and type 15. Now, anytime we write a number, it will give us the number 15 because it's currently equal to 15. To declare a number with decimal points, we'll need to use float, like for example float, and let's call our variable a, and it will be equal to 20.4. Now, as you can see here, in the end, I wrote f. Now, in every float data type, we'll need to include f at the end when we're declaring it like this, like with equal sign, to specify that this is a float type. There is also double, which can also store decimal numbers. The difference between these two is that double has more range and more precision. It can store more decimal points than float. Float can store roughly 7 decimal points, however, double can store 15 decimal points. And double also uses more memory, so float is more memory efficient. Now, the last data type we've got is char, to store a single character. Now let's name this, for example, char x, and it can be equal to any character you want. Like we can type here M, big M, or like 0, point, question mark. It doesn't really matter as long as it's one singular character. Now let's try and print out one of these variables. For example, let's try and print out the integer number. Let's type it like this. And as you can see here, it gives us an error. We cannot print it out just like this. What if we put it in brackets, in quotation marks? And as you can see here, it just prints out number because we're printing it out as a string. Now, what we need here is a format specifier. Now, format specifiers are used with printf function to print something out, and they always start with a percentage sign. Now here we're trying to print out the number, and number is an integer type. So to print out an integer, we're going to put quotation marks, a percentage sign, and for integer it's letter D, small letter D. You type it like this, then you put a comma and type the name of your integer. In our case it's number. And if we were to build and run, we can see that it gives us 15, which is what our number is. Let's try and print out other variables like our float here. Now to print out a float, we'll need to change the format specifier to %f because this is a float. And the name of the variable, the name we got here is a, so we just type a. And if we build and run this, you can see that it gives us 20.4 and followed by many zeros. This is the amount of zeros that it stores. Now let's try with double. And if we change this to b, we can keep this the same because they are both decimal point variables. And if we run this, we can see that it gives us 30.5, which is the value of our double. Now, what if we're trying to limit the number of numbers after the point? Like, for example, we don't want 30.5000, we just want 30.5. Now, to do that, we, in between the percentage sign and f, let me zoom in here. In between here, we just put a point and type the number of zeros that we need. For example, we need just one number. we type percentage 0.1f, and if we were to build and run this, you can see that it just gives us 30.5. Now if we were to change this to like 5, and let's change the value, you can see there's 4 numbers and there will be a 0 in the end. So if we were to run this, you can see that it gives us the exact number we got here. Now to print out the character, we are going to use percentage %C for char, and the name of our character is X, so we're typing X, and if we were to run this, you can see that it has a question mark as the value of our variable is. Now, what if we're trying to include our variable in some sentence, like we need to type my number is, and then type our number, like right now it's 15. Now we could of course do it like this, but that's not what we need. We need to include our number, our variable number. Now to do that, you just type the sentence, whichever sentence you want, and in the part where you need to include your number, your variable, you type the variable's format specifier. Now, right now we've got integer. We're working as integer, so we'll type %d. And then after the quotation marks end, we include a comma and type the value that we are trying to put there, like the variable name. And right now it's number. So if we were to run this, you can see that it says my number is 15. Now we could also do this with floats and doubles. Let's try it with this one and change the name to A because that's the name of our float, or we could use B, it doesn't matter. Now if we were to run this, you can see that it gives us is 20.4. Now we also could include this, the 0.1, to limit the numbers after the point. As you can see here, 20.4. And we could also include several variables if we need. Like, for example, we need to type my number is some number and another number. And we type the sentence and let's type the other number. Let's make it our double B. Now, the format specified for double is %f. And now that we included it here, we need to type another comma sign. Here we've got our A and another comma sign for the next variable, and the next variable is going to be B. Now, if we run this, you can see that it gives us my number is 20.4 and 30 point something. Now, also we could limit this one. Yeah, it'll work the same. Now let's talk about operations on variables. Now, what if we need to change the value of our variable? Like, for example, here we've got number and it equals to 15, and all of a sudden I want it to be 30. Now, we type number, the name of our variable. We no longer need to include int. We need to include the type of the variable only when we declare it. After the declaration, we use it without the integer. And let's make it equal 11 now. Now, if we were to print it out, you can see that, one second, %d and number. If we run this code, you can see that it's equal to 11 because that's what it is now. We changed it. And we can do this with any single one of them. Like, let's make our float A now equals to 10.443. Okay. Now, if we were to print it out, print F and our A, and we run this, you can see that it's now 10.43 instead of 20.4. We could also assign the value of one variable to another. Now, let's create two variables, A, which equals to 5, and B, which equals to 3. And we can assign A to be equal to B. Now, the value of A is 5, and the value of B is 3. And here the value of A is becoming B, the value of B, and the value of B is 3. So if we were to print this out, you can see that a is now 3. We can also change the value of the variable using the variable itself. For example, we can make a equal to a plus 5. Now, a is 5, and we're going to add 5, and it's going to become 10. Now, if we were to run this, you can see that a is now 10. Or we could subtract like 2 from it. Let's make it 4. Subtract 4. And we can see that a is now 1. Because it was originally 5, then from 5 we subtracted 4, and now it's equal to 1. We can also multiply it and make it 20. 5 times 4 is 20. We can multiply the variables by each other, like a times b, and it's going to be 15. Now, if a was to be like 20, let's make it 21. We can divide a by b, which is going to be 21 divided by 3, which is going to be 7. As you can see here, 7. And the last thing I'd like to mention is if you're trying to create multiple variables, like I just did here, int a, int b, and what if we need int c, which equals to 4, let's say. Now, instead of typing them in new line every time, you can just write them like this. Int a equals 21, include a comma, b equals 3, and c equals 4. This is going to save you time and space in your code. And this is it for today. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you in the next part.